You know, sometimes life throws you a curveball that knocks the wind right out of you. And for me, that happened on a sunny Saturday in our quiet suburb of Riverside Heights, when the HOA Queen Bee decided my nephew's backyard fort was public enemy number one, and she took a chainsaw to it while the kid was still playing inside. I mean, picture this. I'm Jack Riley, ex-Marine, back home helping my sister Lisa raise her boy Tommy after his dad took that long-haul trucking gig out west. And we're out there hammering away at this epic play structure we called Castle Thunder, perched between two massive maples overlooking the river. Nothing fancy but solid, 444 posts sunk deep, plywood walls with a wonky door Tommy sketched himself. It was our bonding time, you know, the kind where you teach a wide-eyed 8-year-old how to swing a hammer without smashing his thumb, and he's giggling about making it a fortress against imaginary pirates, until Susan Vance struts over, arms crossed, in her crisp weekend blazer, like she's auditioning for a villain role in some neighborhood drama. She plants herself at the edge of our yard, eyes like lasers on our half-built masterpiece, and barks, "Jack, this abomination is violating at least a dozen covenants. It's an eyesore dragging down the whole block's curb appeal." Tommy peeks out from behind a plank, all innocent curiosity, and I just keep my cool, wiping sweat from my brow as I reply, "Come on, Susan, it's a kid's fort, not a junkyard. Harmless fun, and we're keeping it tidy." But her face twists into that smug grimace, the one that says she's got the power and loves wielding it, and she snaps back, "You've got one day to tear it down, or the association handles it. Consider this your eviction notice for that plywood palace." She storms off, heels clicking on the sidewalk, leaving us in a cloud of tension. But I shrug it off, telling Tommy, "Don't sweat it, bud. She's all bark." And we dive back in, him pretending to be the king issuing decrees about unlimited pizza nights. That bark turned into a bite faster than I expected. Barely an hour later, I hear this god-awful whine like a buzzsaw revving up. And there she is again, Susan, wielding a reciprocating saw like it's Excalibur, plunging the blade straight into one of the main supports without a word. My heart drops. Tommy's inside, laughing about his throne room, and I yell, "Susan, stop! The boy's in there! Cut that out now!" But she's locked in, face set in stone, ignoring everything as the wood splinters with a crack that echoes like a gunshot, the whole structure groaning and twisting before collapsing in a heap of shattered beams and dreams. Tommy's scream pierces the air, raw and terrified, and in that frozen moment I see red, my marine instincts screaming to charge, but instead I dive into the wreckage, tossing planks aside, hands bleeding, calling his name until I find him pinned under a heavy crossbeam, his little leg twisted wrong, face pale with shock and dust. Neighbors come running, Mike from next door, our tech-savvy single dad, already dialing 911, and old Mrs. Ellis across the street gasping from her porch, hand over her mouth like she's witnessing a horror flick. Susan just stands there, saw dangling, a weird mix of defiance and dawning regret on her face, muttering, "It had to go. It was ruining the view, the values." The ambulance wails in, EMTs swarming like pros, stabilizing Tommy as he whimpers, "Uncle Jack, she broke our castle." And I squeeze his hand, voice steady despite the rage boiling inside. "We'll fix it, kiddo. Stronger than ever." Cops roll up too, Officer Ramirez taking one look at the chaos and cuffing Susan right there, her protest spilling out in a shrill torrent. "I'm the president. This is my right. You'll hear from the mayor." But he just reads her the charges, aggravated assault, endangering a minor, and hauls her away, the click of those handcuffs sweeter than any victory bell. That night, with Tommy in the hospital getting his tibia set, a clean break, Doc said, but months in a cast, I sit there in the waiting room, the anger simmering into something colder, more focused, like back in the service when you channel fury into strategy. Why'd she snap like that? It wasn't just HOA nitpicking. Susan had always been a control freak, terrorizing folks over lawn heights or paint shades, but this felt personal, tied to some deeper grudge. Maybe the way our fort blocked the premium river vista from the fancy house behind us, or her ego bruised from me ignoring her notes. My sister Lisa's a wreck, eyes red from crying, whispering, "How could anyone do that to a child?" And I promise her, we'll nail her, build a case so tight she can't wiggle out. It becomes my mission, turning our kitchen into a war room, piecing together the puzzle to expose not just the act, but the rot behind it. First off, Mike pulls footage from his doorbell cam, crystal clear, wide-angle view catching Susan marching up, glancing right at Tommy's head popping in the window, then firing up the saw anyway, the collapse playing out like a slow-motion nightmare. We sync it with Ramirez's body cam, where she admits it all, snarling, "That eyesore had to come down. I was enforcing standards." Mrs. Ellis chimes in too, her voice shaky but steel-edged as she recounts from her porch swing. "I saw her look up, see the boy, and cut anyway, like she didn't care." We compile it all, timestamps glowing like evidence markers. 10:14 a.m., suspect approaches. 10:14:30, victim visible. 10:15, destruction begins. It's damning, showing intent clear as day, and when I hand it to the DA, her eyes narrow with that prosecutor's gleam. This isn't negligence, this is malice. But Susan doesn't go quiet. She violates the no-contact order at an emergency HOA meeting in the community center, bursting through the doors mid-discussion, hair wild, grabbing the mic from jittery VP Henry and screeching, "You ingrates have no clue. I'm the victim here, upholding our precious property values against that trash heap." The room gasps, folks whispering as Ramirez moves in, calm as ever. "Ma'am, you're breaching court orders. Time to go." That's when her son Ryan loses it, yanking a pistol from his waistband, waving it wildly. "Hands off my mom, you pigs!" Turning the gym into a powder keg, hearts pounding as deputies de-escalate, voices steady. "Easy, son. Nobody wants this to end bad. Put it down slow." He crumples, gun clattering, cuffed alongside Susan, her defiance cracking into sobs as they're let out, the crowd stunned silent. That meltdown cranks up the heat, bail hiked sky high, family imploding, but I dig deeper, sniffing out the why, poring over HOA docs until an anonymous tip points to the sale of 456 Maple Grove Drive, the mansion right behind us, fetched a record price days before the attack. Turns out buyers demanded an unobstructed river view, our fort smack in the sightline, and Susan pocketed a fat 15th consulting fee to clear the obstruction. Texts spilling it all, her typing, "View blocker handled tomorrow. Check ready?" to the agent. Henry confesses over coffee, shamefaced. "She bullied the board, Jack. Threatened us all. That kickback was her dirty secret, worth risking everything for the cash." It clicks. Greed, pure and ugly, trumping a kid's safety. Her power trip fueled by dollar signs and a vendetta against rule breakers like us who dared add joy to the block. Insurance denies her claim. Willful act, they call it, no coverage for deliberate sabotage. So she's cornered, lashing out, sending her cousin Jake to intimidate Mrs. Ellis in the grocery lot, looming over her frail frame, hissing, "Old lady. Memories fade. Accidents happen to folks who stick their nose in, recant or regret." But Mike's dash cam catches it all. Audio faint but fierce, and we slam it to the DA. Bail revoked in a courtroom showdown, judge booming, "You've tampered with justice itself, remanded to custody." Susan's face crumpling as cuffs snap on, her empire in ruins. The trials hit like thunder. Criminal side, she pleads to felony assault after our evidence avalanche. Videos, texts, Tommy's heartbreaking depo where he whispers, "The mean lady buzzed our castle down. It hurt so bad." Landing her 2 years behind bars, Ryan on probation, Jake slapped with a misdemeanor. Civil suits are payback, jury awarding $200K medical, $600K suffering, $1 million punitive to Sting, her assets liquidated, house foreclosed. But healing. That's the real win. Neighbors rallying to rebuild Castle Thunder, Mike with his saw, Mrs. Ellis pouring lemonade, even Ramirez off duty with lag bolts from a cop collection, Tommy directing from his cast, beaming as the new fort rises, sturdier, with a rope swing and riverview deck, the block transforming trauma into triumph. Months later, spotting Susan at the hardware store, paroled, graying, deflated. We lock eyes across the aisle, no words, just a mutual nod acknowledging the storm's end, her lesson learned in the hardest way. Yet it lingers, you know. Was justice enough? Or does the system let HOA tyrants like her breed too easily, hiding behind bylaws while real lives shatter? What do you think? Have you dealt with a neighborhood bully, or seen greed twist someone that far? Drop a comment below, share your story. Let's unpack if true accountability ever fully mends the breaks, or if communities need bigger changes to prevent the next collapse. Hit like if this hit home, subscribe for more real-life tales. Thanks for listening.